Just a reminder now, we are streaming, so keep it G.
Roger that. Preparing for G.
Okay, it is 4:30 on Thursday, January 25th, 2018.
Sorry.
We'll have to correct that, Ms. Bodnar.
Already starting.
And I call this meeting of the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call. Commissioner Johnston's here. Commissioner Crunk.
Here.
Commissioner Everts.
Present and accounted for, sir.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Kramer.
Here.
Commissioner Landis.
Here.
Councilwoman Ann Little Roberts. Not here.
And so it begins.
Adoption of the agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Cronk to approve the agenda with the date change. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the November 9th meeting minutes. Waiting for Ms. Bodnar to get them up on our screen so we can.
Not showing on your screens?
Nope.
Negative Ghost Rider.
I just don't know which button to push. You can't control it. Oh, sorry. My own darn fault.
Haven't changed since November when I sent them out in December. So.
I broke it. I broke it. I'm gonna use this one. Okay, well, I move we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Everts to approve the November 19 meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the monthly financial statement.
Mr. President.
New fiscal year.
Commissioner Everts.
Move we approve the monthly financial statement as presented as of 12/31/17.
Second?
Sorry, question. Do we have the parking, that, weren't we reimbursing somebody for parking for that conference? Was that? Am I missing it?
The conference took place in FY 17.
Oh,
Did
okay,
not?
so we just haven't met since
September,
then. Okay,
yeah.
we're good. Ignore me, then yes, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Who seconded?
I second.
Thank you. I've got an ear infection, so I'm not hearing very well this evening. Motion by Commissioner Everett, seconded by Commissioner Landers to approve the monthly financial statements. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Historical Society and History Center update by Lila.
I don't have a lot to report. We've had a lot of holidays since we had a last meeting. We were not open during the holidays. Robbie and Paula were off on another cruise, and so it just didn't work out to fit the holidays in to be at the office. So anyway, we had some researchers in with questions. As a result of this, now we have a file with the documentation about the Hungry Onion from information from Alliance Title, where we told them to go look, and they did. I asked the searcher if he wouldn't like to join our group, but he's already on the food bank board. Can't win sometimes, but the information on the Hungry Onion is now in the cafe file. So we didn't put it in the movie file. We will continue to work on a format, and we did today, and Robbie came up with one, and Blaine has a copy of it. that will work for the property owners in the original town site area of Meridian, something that the downtown group can use. And they have had us do some of that before on individual properties, but now we can go ahead and get it available so we can print it out. We also have that information for about 5 or 6 of the other downtown early subdivisions before 1910. So eventually, we need some volunteers who are computer literate. We'll be conducting Get Acquainted tours with the city council members in February on the 8th and again on the 13th. Several of those council members are not familiar with what we do, what we've done, what we have, and why we're here. So we hope to do a little bit of education along, as well as take them around and show them what we do have. And we'll give that explanation of how we have things and continue to provide assistance for the city and community for the space we occupy. And we're hoping to start a very basic genealogy corner set up in the near future, only really basic stuff. But first we'll have to do some shuffling in the back office to find a corner. But we've talked about it, so we think we can move this from there to there and maybe get away with it. But I guess what brought my final thinking on that about was at the sale that the city has every fall, every Christmas sale. We had a lady who had just finished taking a course to be a genealogy instructor. I talked about a set of books that are basic books. She'd never heard of them. So I thought maybe we could offer a service of some things that were available. That was a source of all of the marriages in the United States before 1700 and where you can find the documentation. So it was a basic source. I guess that's all I have. Do you have questions?
Any questions for Lila?
Okay.
Nice work, Lila.
New business. It's that time of year for election of president and vice president. So, Mr. Everts, I know you have a comment.
No.
Oh,
Are you expecting a comment from me?
yes, I am.
What comment were you expecting? Do you need to whisper?
Just knowing you or anything.
I don't want to misspeak.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I love being vice president because it's, a really fantastic title with very little responsibilities since you have to do all the work. And I feel like in the times that I had to step in that I didn't fumble too much in my duties to maintain quorum or whatever word.
Decorum?
Yeah, decorum. Not quorums, but decorum. So I'm happy to serve in that capacity again. But I'm also, if somebody else wants that title, they can. I'm easy. But I do need to show up more often, so I do apologize for my misses over the... So Hillary has properly reprimanded me. So I'm looking to up my game in 2018. Pretty excited.
Okay.
Those are my comments.
And I am happy to be president for another year, so I guess we're just open for nominations or whatever. Go for it.
What am I doing?
You gonna nominate someone?
Yeah, I'm going to nominate you. Okay. Yeah, I would like to make a nomination right now that Mr. Blaine Sourdough Johnston be our president for the upcoming year. Is that proper? Can I get a second? An amen?
I'll second that.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Motion by Commissioner Everts, seconded by Commissioner Landis for Blaine Johnston for president of 2018.
I believe I
Those in
said
favor?
Blaine Sourdough Johnston, but
Blaine
that's okay.
Sourdough
That's
Johnston.
fine.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Vice President.
I make a motion to nominate Josh Evart to continue to be the vice president.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Kroc, seconded by Commissioner Landis for Josh Raoul
Thank you.
Everts for Vice President for Commission for 2018. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. National Alliance for Preservation Commission membership. Hillary?
So you guys had kind of talked, it was in October, and decided to sign off on a letter to the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions to try to bring their annual forum event to kind of the Treasure Valley area. It would probably end up being in Boise because they have the lodging required in Boise. But part of that discussion came up, well, shouldn't we consider becoming members of this organization also? So I pulled up their info. I think I'd also forwarded it to you guys, but I'll pull it up again. Membership for a municipal or county population greater than 50,000 is $150 a year. You guys do have in your, in your budget, membership dollars dedicated for that type of thing. So let me pull it up really quickly so you can see some of the stuff that they offer. Perfect. I can't zoom in unless I zoom in here. Maybe that helps. And as far as in addition to the forum, annual conference, which you guys, if you became members, you'd obviously get a membership discount to attend. They have some other programs as well. We've also, in the past, been featured in the Alliance Review once. I think it was for the walking tour or something else. It came up that we were either applying to be featured in the Alliance Review or we were featured in the Alliance Review. So again, I would assume that members would having their articles and stories shared in that Alliance Review. I think it's quarterly. I'm not sure how often it's distributed.
Quarterly.
And then there's also CAMP, which is Commission Assistance and Mentoring Program. And I think Blaine referenced this from one of the forum or the Past Forward conferences, that CAMP is one of the things offered to commission specifically, where it's kind of a commission-on-commission mentorship. They have different speakers that could either come in and address your group. You could basically set up and say, okay, these are what our needs are. This is what's going on in our community. And then they'll help kind of pick the right person that could come and address HPC. Those are some other things that would be accessible to you as members. And that form is every other year. So the letter that we sent out for as interested kind of partner hosts would be for 2020, not for 2019.
Any comments? I think it's another good resource for us to have as we go forward.
I think the training alone would be worth it.
I would also offer that if we're really actively submitting and trying to partner with Boise to bring it here in 2020, probably should have some skin in the game.
So Ms. Bodnar, for the membership, is 150 a year. Is that for the City Meridian, or would that be for HPC?
Based on this, it says commissions. I would think it would be specific for you guys.
That's what I was thinking.
But the NAPC supports staff that work with commissions as well. So I'm sure that if we wanted to do some type of training that would be specific to Brian McClure in the Community Development Department, as long as it's in the realm of historic preservation, that would, any discount that you guys would receive would also be applied to people working with you, doing projects with you. I can follow up and verify on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it would work. It would be the city purchasing that membership, Because at the end of the day, you guys aren't your own entity. You
No.
have a budget item.
Right.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Everett.
I move that we approve the $150 expenditure for Preservation Commission membership with NAPC.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Everett, seconded by Commissioner Cronk to spend the $150 for NAPC membership. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Year in review discussion.
I just wanted this to be an opportunity for you guys to go over if there were things that went really well this year, or if there were opportunities that you feel like were missed, or something that we need to look forward to in the future. I know we had some irons in the fire with Historic Preservation Month that we couldn't necessarily put together in time when they switched the theme on us. But if we could somehow maybe just strengthen our existing programs or follow through on some of those ideas that came forward last year, this would be a good time to just kind of review how last year went and set the right pace for moving forward. Or if there's no discussion, that's fine.
Is this part of what we will present to council on the 27th?
Not necessarily, no. This
Okay.
is more internal for you guys to
Just us?
a discussion.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Ms. Jones.
I would always like to see us be more engaged, but I think we're on good track. Our essay or student art program is expanding pretty substantially this year. We are already have a good progress working for Preservation Month, and that it was the same as or what we thought last year's theme was going to be. So some of that planning work has already happened. Hopefully we can keep working towards actually getting properties on the registry. I'd like to see that happen this year. I know that we reached out to some property owners and had trouble making contact. But I always come back to that is one of the, I guess, the central mission of this commission is to do that. So I'd love to see a nomination this year. But really, I think between the walking tour update last year and the coins and the app and all of that, I feel like it was a pretty comprehensive year. If we can get a nomination this year, let's do it. It's just sort of my thoughts, but.
Yeah, I would add to it. I think the app was a ton of fun. Certainly, well received. I would say as a place to improve this year. I actually talked to one of Treg Brent about his real focus on our city council is downtown issues, and I shared with him just some of the disconnects that we'd like a little bit more support from our downtown business association. So he'd like to make more of those connections happen and get them a little bit more active in that app because it's a resource and they're partnered up and going to be picking up the tab for next year. So he's going to, as a city council member, be engaging with them to help us out. And, and this is a really important thing. I think also getting the new economic development guy in now. So I think that's a great way for us to also, Treg's going to be reaching out to him and working with him on, this is a great platform that HPC invested in that can benefit some of our downtown businesses. So I think one of the things is not just resting on a great app development, but how do we activate it with some of the downtown businesses and get them on there and get some more activity going. But yeah.
How many of the businesses know about our walking tour coin? Do you know?
Probably not enough. I don't know an exact count. The last MDVA meeting I went to was in November. So what I told Treg is that he's going to coordinate getting on their next calendar meeting where we're going to bring the coins, the app and everything and give them kind of a full, walkthrough of how many users have actually downloaded it. And yes, Hillary, I owe you that report. So, so we can talk to them about, what's going on there and kind of re-energize their efforts because that's something that they're going to be paying for. So it's important for them to start getting a little bit more plugged in. And I think they've got some stability. Their elections are going to be going down, I think, next month. So,
Okay,
yeah. So I'll work on that.
okay. I think we had a good year. I agree with Ms. Jones. I'd like to see if we can't get properties nominated. But that's just going to be an ongoing process that we're going to have to work through. So, any other thoughts? Okay. Old business, 2017 annual report for City Council. That'll be on February 27th at 6 o'clock.
More than anything, this is just a reminder of that date and that presentation time. Again, that report, I think I showed you a draft in November, got a few suggestions, and then finalized it, and this was included in your last month's packet. So nothing really new here. I tried to keep this report very concise. I think that it's easier for council to get energized and invigorated when they can remember everything that we've done, rather than just spewing off a list of accomplishments, but really make them or demonstrate the impact for what you've done in the past year. But this was that quick summary.
Okay, and I will get with you beforehand so we can review it if we want to rework it, reword it somehow.
So in addition to this, we create a PowerPoint every year to share with City Council. So if you have any either testimonials or quotes or whatever that you think would be good to include, or pictures that you think would be good to include, feel free to shoot those my way so that we can get those added to the presentation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Everett,
would you like a wingman for that evening's presentation?
I always love a wingman.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. I put it in the calendar.
The more the merrier.
Are we going to work on an act? I feel we can get a
Sure.
little Laurel and Hardy. I'm down with that.
Who's on first?
What's on second?
Okay. Next item is contract for photography services for historic buildings. We've talked about hiring someone to take pictures. I know that Mr. Neri in his notes says, would like to see us have a defined scope of work for that. So when we go forward with this, what do we expect from a photographer? How many pictures of each building? 1, 3?
You guys could define it in multiple ways too. So, you could set up, if it's something that is an interior shots, you could have a different scale for that. I just think you need to define what you're looking for and / how you plan to pay these people, if it's by the photo, by the hour, for the service in general.
Mr. President,
Jones.
do we know what the requirements are for like the Section 106 surveys? Because I think that to me is already drafted, and not that recreating the wheel isn't super fun, but that's ultimately what we would need, right? Are those that level of photos? Do you happen to know right offhand, Lila, what those requirements are? We should find them, or maybe we can ask TAG, because I know that, I would like to say that there's more meat to it than please take an external photo of each side. There's something that you need for those 106 requirements. So without getting too technical, it seems like maybe we start there and then we could see what's appropriate for us and if we need to pare it down a little bit. But I'd rather go that way with what the industry standard is than create something ourselves, just personally. See if I can find it. Oh, shockingly, there's a lot online. So maybe we can, there's a ton about what's required in their surveys. Maybe we start, this is way too much to sort through right now. But maybe I can look for bullet points or something for next month.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Yeah, this is way. Okay.
You want to send me a link to that site, and then I'll look at it also?
Yes.
And then do we want all of our buildings rephotographed, or do we want to just create a list, or? My mind's fuzzy, so I'm just kind of talking out loud right now.
So, Mr. President, I think for me, I would think we would focus on those ones for the ones that are the development-related applications that are getting ready to be torn down, or there's going to be a development next to it that could affect the value of the property in some capacity, or that we would be, theoretically, if it was a state application, they'd be required to do the survey anyways. So I think those would be the ones that we'd probably focus on. I think on the ones that are already on the registry, we already have what we need for those. And if they're not registry eligible, I don't know that we need to go back. I would just think, work with the development department to get on the radar of those ones that were close to destruction or could be affected and move forward. That'd be my thought.
Okay.
Sort of have a photographer on call who responds to those sorts of the applications that you review. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Okay.
Would it be possible to have a photograph presented with the application before they destroy something? Which would take it out of this pocket book and put it in somebody else's. But I know that we didn't get a picture of some of the things that were torn down a few years ago, but planning and zoning got pictures of it, so maybe we need to coordinate, see what they actually require.
Ms. Bodnar, Ted, what's the city's opinion? Is that a requirement?
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, I'm not familiar with that, I can tell you, but my initial thought on hearing that is that if you make a property owner do it, you're not going to get the quality and the control
Right.
that you would want. It certainly is a backup source, but I think the idea of defining what your needs are and getting those met with your own direction and budget is probably the best way to go. That would be
Okay.
my recommendation.
Mr. President,
Trevor?
as I am weeks away from tearing down the old Farmers and Merchants Bank building here on the corner across the street, is that that's not in the category of anything that we're wanting photographs of? We're going to take pictures, obviously, because I'm a storyteller, and I think that it is going to look very, very different.
You're a
on that.
fiction teller.
Yes, I'm a fiction teller, also a liar. But it is like we want to be able to tell the story because that corner is going to look very different when I'm done with it. So is that kind of what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, my strong suggestion, I think somebody brought it up earlier, of, whether it's per photo, I think what you want to do is let a contract out, identify whether it's through a Compete or whatever, that on a hourly basis, in this kind of digital world, as long as we've got good formats for what we're looking for, I think I'd highly recommend we do it on an hourly basis. And those guys are, they're going to go out like Jason did, and they're going to have, 150 high-res digital images of whatever we want them to do. So that would be my recommendation, is just get one on the books, whatever mechanism we need to do to get that approved so that when something comes down, then it's like, okay, we've got this guy, we're, not to exceed, X number of hours for a particular property and go to work.
Okay. Any other discussion? Thoughts? Okay, we'll go on to our walking tour coin. I know we've got them. I don't know how many people are eligible for one. Have you tracked anything on from the app or?
No. Hillary might know better than I do.
We kind of outlined that we want people to come to us when they've completed this,
Right.
but we really haven't done any type of marketing or launch for it. That's been our hang up, other
Right.
than I presented them at one of the MDBA meetings and told them we're doing this and they've been ordered, and we presented them to city council, but we
Right.
haven't done anything that has really been broadcast out there. So the previous discussion was that we need to find the best mechanism to do that. And Casey Emery recommended, one of our previous meetings, the commission had recommended that we do a press release, but it was November.
Yeah.
And she said that November is really not a good time for a press release for this. You're going to get more traction and activity in the spring. So we can do a press release, and she's going to help produce a video launch in April that we can help boost out. And possibly we could put money towards monetarily boosting that on Facebook so that it gets a little bit more exposure. But we need other mechanisms as well, I'm sure, to get this pushed out there.
I would highly recommend. I know that Holly Beach has moved on, but the replacement for Meridian Press, she's been really active and trying to get engaged and telling stories. So Hillary, she might be somebody that, I don't have her contact information. Do you? I might reach out to her and just say, hey, we've got a great story to tell, and we did this, and we just, as we launched this, we realized we were going into November, the holidays and everything, but this is something for all Meridian citizens to, I feel pretty comfortable. And I think especially if we do that in conjunction with reaching out to MDBA, because that's the kind of the commercial piece of this, is getting their stuff up there, and if any of their members want to run coupons or anything like that as part of those sites, this would be a great time to get those updated and on there. So I think she's a great. Everybody reads Meridian Press. I'm really surprised. I mean, I enjoy reading it, but I'm always very surprised that a lot of people that come into the shop that are up to speed on what's going on because they're reading that. So, but there's also the Facebook stuff as well, especially if we really wrap it around the coin. I think that's the thing that will resonate. Like, I'm getting something. It's not just a app that I'm downloading, but if I go do this thing, that I've got some cool thing that I can get.
What's it cost to advertise or whatever?
You set a budget, so typically the budgets run from like $7 to $20
Okay.
to reach thousands of users in a targeted area, kind of thing. So I think whether we approve it now or later, but some not to exceed. Hillary can do it. It's not tough. Where we do the press release with the coin picture and everything, and then you promote that post. So that's the post that then gets promoted in people's feeds as an advertising item. So, and you get all the metrics. You should see all the back end in terms of how many people have clicked on it and everything. So my recommendation would be some not to exceed like $30, where you do some little splurges of $7 here, $7 there, bring the metrics back and see if, we got, some run for $30. And then I guess, Hillary, on your end, you'll know if people actually come in and claim their coins.
Yeah, and I can follow up with you guys. So if we did, say in March, we did a quick $30 investment, or April if we do it with a video, which probably will get more return. then I could follow up with you guys in May and say, this is how many people viewed it, this is how many people responded, with the completed scorecards. And then we can go from there if you guys want to increase your budget or say, okay, that was good and we want to do $30 every 3 months. We could do that too.
Can we shoot our own video to post it, or does that have to come through the city? So like say, if Josh and I go out and he shoots me using the app, looking at these buildings, and he shows me with my phone.
I would love if you would just work with Casey because she's
That-
the
that's my-
communications
that's-
manager anyway, and
that's
she's
my
going to have to okay whatever you do. So
Okay.
she might as well help you do it.
Correct.
But it could be you guys in it, yeah. Whoever.
Okay.
I think Dawn wants to be in it. She's big into videos. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, she's all in.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see it sooner than later, especially before Preservation Month. So if we can get it shot in March and then get it out there by April, people are going to start seeing it, weather warming up, we're going to have the tours more active.
I'll follow up with Casey so we can get that.
Okay.
And the city has an Instagram account too, so we can, I think you can promote on both. So I'll verify with her that that's an option. And I could follow up with you guys in March if you'd like to do Instagram as well.
Any other discussion on our coins? Oral history efforts.
Okay. Well, we hadn't talked too much about it. We got the opportunity to interview Ruth Wilkins, and we actually recorded it, and it's right now it's in. It could be in StoryCorps, or we could house it here, but anyway, it's been edited by some of our staff, and it's really interesting because she's been here since 1950. So,
Ruth Wilkins.
Ruth Wilkins.
You taught one of her, you taught someone in her family, nephew or niece or something. Yeah, the interview, the final recording's about 34 minutes, which is what was recommended by StoryCorps. They suggested no longer than 45-minute oral histories. Our goal, I think, is to get it uploaded onto StoryCorps so that that can be the housing location. I'll follow up with Bill, though, to see what it would look like if those did live here. I think that they would have to be classified as under the city's retention schedule as historical documents, which would mean they'd have to live here forever, which complicates the storage of them. And also it complicates the city's obligation to pull that record for other people versus it living on a website where people could access it as they need or want. The city of Boise, I don't know if all of you were here when I followed up with you on this. They store all of theirs in-house, all of their oral history records, and if someone wants to reference a record, they have to set up a meeting with one of the staff with the city of Boise, sign a waiver that says, I understand how this site should be sourced, or how this source should be cited, and kind of claim their use for why they're referencing the source. That is an awesome process, but one that I don't know if we want to jump into. So I'll follow up with Bill, but it really is a great recording. I wanted to follow up with Bill too before I shared it with you guys, so I'm sorry that you're not hearing it tonight, but as soon as I get some greater understanding of that with him, I'll let you know and hopefully be able to share it with you.
And I do,
Thank you to the Meridian Library District. They did everything, basically.
the library would like to be involved with any others that we do as well. Think it's really important because it is our community and it's our history. And so we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Thank you. Student competition.
I'll start. So this is officially live. We shared it with Lori Gash with the West Ada School District, but because we missed the December or the January, whatever it was, whatever meeting, December meeting, we need still a not to exceed approval for the award for the student competition. And I wanted to run over some other information with you, but if JC or Ella want to bring people up to speed on what we've done, that'd be great.
Do you want to start, Ellen? No, you're taking, okay. Mr. President, Commissioners, we met and then worked offline a couple of times to try to expand what that original competition was. Your final flyer looks really great, by the way. So Ella made our pretty flyers. We have it set into 3 categories. So there's a flyer that's specific to each age group that targets that group and then specifies what the prize will be for each of those. We have a very clear rubric that is similar to what is being used in other areas. So essentially, we will solicit those projects deadlines March 28th, right? Did I say that wrong? It is March 28th, yes? That sticks in my head. March 30th. Oh, I'm so close. Okay, so the deadline's March 30th to receive those. We picked that date because theoretically, even if you have the kids that are going to procrastinate, it gives them spring break to still pull it together, which is good. So there's kind of the rubric. You can see it's out of 100 points. Those are the areas that we will be grading them on as commissioners. So we'll take those submissions and then look at that to provide the score. It does allow for multiple types of medium, which is great. So it's inclusive of a variety of skills and talents and interests and should be fairly diverse in what we receive back. And I like that it is the same rubric for all of the age groups. So, I mean, obviously, if you're going to look at a fourth grader's project versus somebody as a senior, you have to take the age into consideration. But it's great that they're not competing against each other. There's something specific to each age category. So we have all of that. We'll receive them, provide those scores, and then select a winner from each category. There's the beautiful flyer that has the information. So this is what Lori Gash received that she can then distribute out to all of the, hopefully, history teachers, principals, school secretaries, those folks, get that out there. Is this on social media?
I was waiting for you guys tonight.
Oh, cool. So hopefully we get this on social media, Facebook and Instagram. I would love to see it not just on the HPC's and page, but also retweeted or tagged on the city's page as well. It is out here on our HPC website. So it's the same information that they theoretically would get on the flyer. We can tweet just that little link and not necessarily have to have the paper in front of the student to be able for it to be an effective competition. The prizes are pretty fun, we thought. For the older age groups, we went with money, which is great. For the younger groups, their elementary school group, we looked into sort of community family activities and found that a 4-pack, so a family 4-pack of what they call kind of like their VIP or their executive level yearly annual pass at Zoo Boise was very affordable, and it provides kind of some special perks to the family members, and it allows them, for example, like to go with grandma instead if mom's out that day, or a nanny or whatever. So it's pretty inclusive to a variety of styles of families as well. So it should be good for those younger kids as opposed to just handing them cash. So I think we're good to go on it. I would like to see it blasted all over social media here really soon. I think that's how we're going to get the older group. And then Ella, if you have anything else.
Awesome. Good.
There you go. Your flyers looked really, really nice. I thought you did a good job.
I wanted to add just one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. I know we had also talked about possibly expanding this to college level too, because someone had questions from a college level student. But we went K through 12 this year, and we could maybe approach college next year. That might also be different criteria. At that point, it might be a different plane. You're expecting a little bit different projects. So hopefully we just continue to build this competition.
What was the amount for the family pass?
I'll pull it back up. We don't have it.
Wasn't it $90?
Yeah, I was thinking it was like less than 100.
Okay.
We see Zoo Family Pass. And we thought it was early enough in the year that they get a good use out of it, and they have it set. There it is. Oh yeah, so they get unlimited admission to Zoo Boise for 1 year, and it's from the date of issue, which is nice. Right before summer, gives them something to do. They get free year, which has reduced admission at other participating zoos. So if their family travels, they can get a discount for being members here. They get the Zoo Boise Animal Tales newsletter, the e-newsletter, exclusive pass holder entrances to their signature events, which is the Easter Extravaganza, Zoo Days, and Boo at the Zoo. They get discounts on Run Wild and Spooktacular, and then discounts on the education programs. And so what we proposed is the household. Actually, they've got the price at $100 now, so it went up a little bit. And it admits 2 named adults and 4 children up to the age of 18. And then we could actually upgrade it if we wanted to what they call their Household Plus. That's the $120, and that allows for the 1 additional unnamed adult pass, which would be our proposal. So grandma or nanny or whoever could attend as well. So kind of fun.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Edwards.
I motion that we approve not to exceed $820 for prize support for our student competition.
What about the coins?
Sorry, can I edit that or ask a question? I apologize for an incomplete report. We want more money than that.
Awesome.
We also thought, aside from just the money and then the pass, we wanted to give them the coin, our history coin, and then we wanted to give it to them in some sort of a trophy way. So they'll take the coin and they put it in those fancy plastic, there's a word for that, acrylic, I think is what it is. So it looks like a trophy that they could sit out. And then for maybe the little ones, we found an acrylic necklace, like a medal. That might be kind of fun for us to present them, something other than like, here's a check, but then also here's a little trophy or something. So we looked into those. So if we could get a not to exceed of like 1,100, that would be better for that. Sorry, thank you.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Edwards.
I'd like to amend my motion to reflect a request of not to exceed $1,100 for the student competition awards for this year.
I'll second that.
My girl.
Was that Ella?
Oh, yeah.
Motion by Commissioner Edwards, seconded by Commissioner Kramer for not to exceed $1,100 for the student competitions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Got that one done.
Yeah, good work, Ella. Those
Thank you.
flyers look
Thank you.
good.
They look tremendous.
One question, though. Are we doing the thing like we did last year where we went to Meridian High and pumped this thing? Like, are we doing any of those? All right.
Not for this.
Roger that.
Do it for something else.
The conversation, just to really briefly update you on that, was because we were going to be able to pump out some information through elementary schools with JC distributing the rest of the 2 walking tour brochures, and then we were going to plan on meeting with high schools, but then that left a gap in middle schools. And there are a lot of middle schools, and you guys wouldn't have been able to commit to that much time. So we're just trying to make it even for everyone and make it square through Lori Gash. Yeah.
Also, with that NHS thing with the irrigation, I was thinking that we could even open that up to other NHS groups in other high schools. but I don't know how you would contact.
Let's talk about that after.
Okay.
Current applications.
There are no current applications for your review. But we're going to start including this regularly in your meeting agenda. I included it just in case something came up between noticing it and today, but I have not seen anything that needs review.
Meeting with the Basque Museum. Currently, the Basque Center Board is touring the Basque Country, and they're supposed to be back sometime next week. So when they return, Ms. Jones, I will get with you so we can go down and talk to them.
Perfect.
Meridian History course.
It's probably me at this point still. We're in the beginning phases of this. We did select a date based on Mayor Tammy's availability. Bill and I met with Amy Birch and Linda Beltoff, who've taught our course for us in the past. They said that based on the required number of teachers to enroll in the course, they wanted to try to do a community ed type of program instead of something just based on targeting local teachers. I think if we did something like this every few years, where it's open to the community versus open to just teachers, it will bring more people in. So with that, we're hoping to, we're going to work with the Parks Department to get included in the activity guide, have some type of small charge for folks, whether it's $5 or $10, and then cater in lunch so that their money's going towards something. But basically that $5 or $10 is to solidify that they're gonna show up to the class. And then provide lunch from one of the downtown businesses, and then also hopefully provide information or handouts from other local businesses. So that might be another way to partner specifically with MDBA if we can get something from them that helps promote the businesses that are their members. They need at least 6 to host the course, and probably a maximum of 20, and it would probably only be a one-day class. So, and we talked about from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. would give people time to get in, and it would still probably be a weekday course. So they had suggested either a Tuesday or a Thursday in kind of early June, and the mayor was available on June 14th, so that's our tentative date for now. With it being condensed to one day, obviously some of the material that's going to be cut out is that teacher-specific curriculum building material or standard-based material. And then we'll also cut out one of the, I call it something fancier, but one of the field trips. So we will probably not go to, I forget, the Mint Farm. Yeah, Drew Eggers Farm, yes. And just do, ask for Zamzos to do their tour here. That also keeps it much closer to just kind of this downtown site and doesn't require anybody to carpool or find parking at the Eggers place. So that's where we currently are. We'll probably reach out. Dawn had volunteered in the past to help coordinate and kind of be the liaison for you guys with this. But this is a new approach. We haven't made it open to the entire community before, so it'll be interesting to see how many people we get signing up for the course. But yeah, Parks said that we could get included in their flyer or their activity guide as long as we get in February. It'll be produced in April. And then with that also being independent from the school district and Northwest Nazarene, it's no longer credited. HPC would need to pay the teachers of the course. So that's something for you guys to discuss or keep in mind. And you don't have to decide today, but we'll need to decide probably February or March. And what we do is probably do a contract with them.
And then do we pay for the lunch, or how does that?
I think you would be paying for the lunch as well.
Okay.
But that not to exceed amount would be based on how many attendees you have.
I like the idea. It'll help get more buzz out into the community on what we're doing here. Because if you just have teachers, you're kind of talking to the choir, you know. But getting the community involved is a great idea because it's a great way to get volunteers, get people interested in what we're doing here.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how many people we can get just to show up. What was our attendance last year for just teachers?
We didn't do it last year. The year before
Year
that,
before.
I think it was around 12 or 14. There were quite a few. Part of the conversation with our instructors, though, was that we might have hit so many in kind of our core range that those people are still third grade teachers. They've already taken this professional development class, and they need to take so many PD classes a year, so they're not going to retake the same course. So it might be good to space it out every other year, or, you know, teacher year, public year, gap year, teacher year, so on and so forth. And we had quite a few people in 2016 who were not just third grade teachers. They were, right, middle school teachers and, yeah.
Question for future. I know that we are concentrating on Meridian history and the West Ada School District, but can we open it up to Boise School District teachers or Nampa for interest from those school districts also?
The information is basically geared for our history
Right.
in this area. Nampa would come near matching us, or even Caldwell, than Boise City,
Okay.
because Boise City didn't irrigate.
Just, yeah, I'm just thinking out loud for future.
And one of the main sources is Annie Laurie Bird, who happened to be Keith's Bird, high school teacher. Turned out funny, no relationship, but. And one of the replies was that they felt they would get source material. Well, source material is scarce, that's why we developed this.
Right.
And we've given them copies of a lot of the source material.
Okay.
Mr. President.
There'll be some expense in hosting it. Because our copy machine just plain died.
Right.
And we have run out of the copies of the history. Before they came to build a community, we no longer have copies that we could provide at no cost. The ones that we have left belong to the church, and we have to ante up to them.
Right. Okay.
Mr. President? Sorry, me. I don't know that I think it has to just be Meridian teachers or Meridian community members, or, I mean, I guess for me, I'm thinking if a Boise teacher wants to come in and learn about Meridian history, I think that that's probably okay. I mean, I don't know that we would change our course material to cater
No.
to them, but my thought would be, and I don't know about their certification or accreditation process, but I very much think that it's not limited on the type of professional development course that has to specifically pertain to their community's history. I bet it's very general as far as what credits they have to take. So if we have teachers from other areas who might want to come in, because I guess for me, like, even though maybe Boise didn't irrigate, irrigation in and of itself is a concept that those students should learn about too, or just the science activities and STEM activities you could come up with irrigation. I don't know that they teach that a lot, but it seems to me like we could include them in those conversations, or at least maybe in the community one, send out some broadcasts that direction too, because they need credits too.
When I was at the American Association of State and Local Histories, the fellow who sends out the stuff to the schools from the State Historical Society, when I said, I hope you're telling the irrigation story, and they say, oh no, the teachers don't want that.
That's why we need to educate them.
Maybe we don't need to educate them, there's nothing really farmers left.
Any more discussion on history course?
Did we need that not to exceed for the teacher salaries today, or does the end of February work?
I think the end of February works unless you guys have something in mind right now. I think historically, when you guys paid them in the past, it was something like $1,000. That may be different now. I can verify with the teachers on what they would expect or need and come back with you guys with a not to exceed in February. I think that would be fine.
I think that'd be best.
I hate to say it, the Idaho Speakers Bureau, their honorarium is $89. What? Yeah, it's pretty low. So, I mean, and I know that when we had David Leroy come out, and who else came out as part of that for Preservation Month a couple of years ago, we had 2 speakers, and it was ridiculously low. So even if they come back with a ballpark number that seems really low, I'm comfortable paying them so that they see it as something that they're excited about and look forward to that little bit in the summertime and would come back, even though I think maybe in our industry it's pretty sad.
You want to check on that, Hillary, and get back with us next month? National Preservation Month, telling the stories of Idaho.
Yeah, I verified with Pete Larange that is going to be the theme this year. So you guys had a few ideas last year based on this. I included in your packet the letter that we had drafted up last year for local property owners, in case you're still interested in pursuing that. Even if you only reached out to 1 or 2 owners, that might be a fun feature. We had someone come in the other day from the house across from Pine Street School, and I can never remember the address. It's like 897 Meridian Road, where the alien used to live.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not aware of the history of his property, but he seems eager to kind of share. And while that's been remodeled and it's not really historic, if we could even use that purchase as kind of a example of why he and his wife were interested, what's the history behind it, what are they looking to do, previous owners from all these records that historical society is putting together. I'm not sure what you're interested in pursuing, but we can also explore other things that you mentioned last year.
That property belonged to the daughter of the Samuel Martin Burns family, which is featured at Generations Plaza.
I think getting these letters out would be a good idea to a few of them. When we went and helped last year at the one down in Boise, and I couldn't believe the amount of people that came out to see those homes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a way to get people engaged.
Mr. President? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, we've got a little bit of time. But only about a month before we probably need to make a decision on how many letters we want to send out and to whom. So you guys can think of properties that you'd like to have possibly on this Preservation Month. Come back next month. We can talk about it. I don't think just homes. I think buildings, the vault.
Yeah, they've done some, yeah, they've done, not just the vault. I think there have been some other really,
Right.
really nice things that I think we should get this letter out to any of the homes that are on our walking tour. Just because I think it's great to get this kind of stuff in front of them. I'm thinking about like the Foleys, with their, Telegraph building and stuff like that. Like, they just got acknowledgement for that. I think, I would imagine that if, a letter like this coming from us, possibly wanting to showcase, they're very, very proud of that property, and they should be. So, yeah, I think we should get these things out. See if we get any fish
I
on the
agree.
line.
Yep,
Well,
okay.
I like it.
City comprehensive plan review, action items.
We had talked about this long time ago. JC, Dawn, and I met with Pete and went through the city comprehensive plan. And these are just some very, very basic action items that I pulled out that I think we could discuss further. One thing that's come up in meetings before that we've never really specifically followed through on were specific area surveys. If we need to do another type of survey, we've done windshield surveys before, but if we need to do a more specific survey to kind of help identify potential nominations or something in that order, this is something easy for me to do, add planners, public works, parks, et cetera, to our monthly agenda email distribution list. I just want you guys say okay to that, and then I'll start throwing that out to other people as well, so they can't really say, I didn't know about this, I've never seen this. At least it gives them something to reference. If anything, it reminds them that you guys exist and that you're working towards various things. Have HPC hold joint meetings or intros with other commissions, and possibly we talked about even MDC at that meeting with Pete Larange or other groups. GIS data, add laterals to GIS mapping, add signage to historic resources, including something at the irrigation laterals, and then establish a contract for photography services to document structures that will be torn down or redeveloped. If you guys are comfortable with these action items, we can kind of prioritize them, put some timeline on them, and move forward. If there's something that you think isn't really a priority, we can just push it off for a while. There's stuff you want to add, we can easily add some other goals for this upcoming year. But you have put some stuff on your plate already that we could follow through with in addition to these comprehensive plan specific items. Dawn or JC, if you have any, it was a long time ago that we met. If you have any additional information to share.
Mr. President, I think as far as comprehensive plan, I think that this is a good list. It's general enough that some of what we're doing, we can kind of finagle under those umbrellas so that we can show that we're making progress on some of those. I love the idea of doing surveys just because properties older than 1967 now could be eligible for the registry because that basic requirement is 50 years. And so I don't often think of homes built in the 60s as historic, but we have a lot, like within 2 or 3 blocks of City Hall, like east and west, that theoretically could be. And we have yet to create a historic district or really talk about maybe what that looks like, because what we think of historic is like Main Street, and that it could be very limiting for business owners. But perhaps if we go a little bit further each direction, maybe we'll come up with something that could be a district. So I'd like to see some energy put in that area just based on there's whole blocks of homes built in the 60s and ones that still look like 60s. So it might be worth looking at.
The mid-century modern is now historic.
Yes, it is, which is strange.
Yes.
But it is.
Well, and we are, like I said, starting to do some of this stuff, especially with the photography services. If we do add the irrigation component to the walking tour, we will have to get that information, GIS data. So we're working on some of these as we go,
I think it's a good list.
so.
We have an extensive irrigation file. Yes, we do. Maybe not the detail you wanted.
But it's a start. From there, we can at least get something digitized and get into GIS.
Yeah, so Brian McClure has the information, I think, from, shared it. The Historical Society had shared it with Brian before, but he hadn't mapped. It's much easier to do point file than it is to map everywhere that line goes, and the lines aren't always necessarily straight lines. So that was something he was planning on working on. It actually came up somewhat recently where Parks was looking at doing something and ran into some Section 106 thing because of a lateral. So I think the city is seeing more of a value in making sure those are mapped on our GIS programs. And then I was working with Ella and NHS, and we're going to try to find hopefully some NHS members that could help with defining the points that would make the most sense to put on a digital map for the public as far as where a sign could actually go or some type of indicator or marker. You would need a point that's accessible somewhere that makes good sense. So I'll follow up with Ella and hopefully reach out to not only the Meridian National Honor Society, but maybe other local honor societies.
Okay.
Want to put it in front of your faces?
Thank you. Logo branding development.
So I'd been waiting on a logo from somebody here for a while, and then I decided to make my own. So I made one, and you saw it actually on that history flyer. Very basic, but it gets the point across, gives you a logo. If you want to pursue another logo, I encourage you to do so. But if you're happy with this in the meantime, you're not really putting your logo on a ton of things. So there's an idea. At least it's a concept.
It's constant. I think it looks good.
I'm sorry, Bodner.
I don't really like it either.
You don't like it?
No, I think it's a little too busy.
Oh, I didn't say
stretched out.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I'm so sorry. I was saying I'm sorry for my failed.
It's too busy though, Don?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe something not quite as drawn out. I'm not sure.
Is it possible to have something like 2 logos? Like we could have this one that has like all the words spelled out, and then we could have like a top font with a little bell tower, just like MHPC for a smaller.
About, so my employee that does this for me is out of town until I think the last week. So he's out of town this week in the middle of next week. So I will have him draft up some concepts before our next HPC meeting. So just so we have some things to look at. I think what Don's talking about there is I think the bell tower kind of gets lost. So as far as an element in there. So typically your eye is drawn to, you know, the most bold thing, which is Meridian, which is great. I think I think it looks great on the flyers and stuff like that, but I owe you guys some mock-ups. So we'll have some stuff to look at next time.
Great effort, Hillary.
Yeah, no. And these are very, very tough things to do. That's a mouthful. Meridian Historic Preservation Commission is way too much copy. So I do think that there might be, to Ella's point, there might be a clever way to do something that, where we have some options in terms of use case and how we do these things. So I guess for the commissioners, are you guys really enjoying the bell tower? Is that something that's of significance that you guys like? I just want to be able to give my guy some guidance. Or are we going avant-garde and trying to think outside the box? I mean, we'd certainly do research on, what other, typically people are picking a very prominent physical element, I would think, for a lot of these cities or historic commissions, something, the arch in St. Louis, something that would be easily recognizable. I'm assuming this is the bell off of the Pine Street School. Is that where that bell came from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like this better than the water tower.
Yeah.
I personally like the bell because I like that there's a connection in some capacity to this and the walking tour.
Yeah.
And because there's already existing publications and signage where that logo's out there.
Used.
All of that being said, I think that it would be nice, just because of what we're trying to go for as far as consistency in downtown, if something with our logo tied in, maybe something similar to what MDC's logo for downtown is, or their signage, without it being the same, like similar but not the same, because just so much of our territory and theirs crosses over, and it'd be nice if everything looked well together.
Yeah.
But still having it be distinguishable entities.
Okay.
That was super helpful, wasn't it?
No, this is why typically ad agencies, like when we do this for real customers, like it's a whole process. Like there's this whole discovery period and investigating these things and doing research and having interviews with key members and all that kind of stuff. And then you're sitting down and talking about, what are the, 3 messages you're trying to convey with your brand. And then you finally get to where you're doing mock-ups and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to sidestep the larger process. I think I got a good enough feel of what we're doing to be able to answer a lot of those questions. So I think it'll be more helpful if we get some mock-ups of some stuff, and I am going to have him go kind of outside the box. One of the things that MDC did with some of the banners and stuff like that downtown is where they did renderings of some of the historic buildings and stuff like that, and they're beautiful. It's the Vault Heritage Building and then the Zamzows, but some really, really cool renderings of very, very historic things. So I don't know if I might play around with the concept that leverages up some of that imagery that's already been done. But I think the biggest thing that we want to hammer, regardless of the imagery we choose, is Historic Preservation Commission. Not even Meridian. I think that if we are going to pick something that looks similar to other things, then that HPC is got to be the big thing that's the component that's got to stand out. So when we look at it, it's got to be, Historic Preservation Commission. So we'll work on that. Yeah. So I'll have some stuff for next month for us to look at. Yay, team.
So in the meantime, before we can have a definite logo, can we go ahead and still use this and get it out?
Oh, yeah.
And then future,
I can leave it on whatever is already out there from Lori, but I'll take it off of, we already have the Meridian logo on there, so I'll take it off of any, social media blasts, so that it's not going to start being a miscommunication. It's easy enough to take off of those.
You think that's a miscommunication?
I don't.
I don't think at all. I would leave it all up there. I think it looks great. I think we want to always strive to improve, but
yeah, I think for now we can leave it, and then once we finalize the final logo, then that's what we'll start using. National Registry, still in the works.
Still working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ongoing.
And I did just hear that I think Zamzo family's doing a mural on the side of. So I don't, yeah. Still working.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Children's Museum.
Mr. President, Commissioners, it'll be fairly quick. We did not meet in January because of the holidays, so not much to report there. We did have a consultant come to our December meeting who built a career in fundraising and grants and capital campaigns for nonprofits to try to provide some information and some tools and help us with some of the logistics of what it is that we're trying to do. One of the things that is both wonderful about our board and also challenging for our board is we have a board of dreamers, which is wonderful because we really want this to happen and we want to see it and we know what that vision looks like. And then sometimes we are up here a bit, and this consultant was very helpful in bringing us back down to the ground and of what I thought was a very kind way. So we had a pleasant reality check, which was good. And so now we're working through some more of the nuts and bolts business plan type development stuff. We do have our next meeting scheduled for February 12th. That will pretty much focus on the nonprofit status and what is required as far as the application process, and then working through helping to solidify what we would essentially need if you went to the bank and asked for a loan. And until we have the nuts and bolts of that, it's really hard for us to be kind of credible to a larger agency with or without the nonprofit status. So it was good information gathering in December, and we're ready to continue to move forward. But we are meeting on the 12th, 4:30 p.m., Potter's Tea House. So if you are looking for something to do, you're welcome to always attend their open meetings. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Cool, thank you. Any other items we need to discuss? Next meeting is February 22nd, fourth Thursday, 4:30. I would like to congratulate Commissioner Landis on his twins. Thank you. So congratulations. Being a twin, I'm sorry.
Having twins, it's interesting.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Efforts.
I move we adjourn this meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission of Meridian, Idaho. Hooah.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Everett, seconded by Commissioner Landis to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We are out of here. Thank you very much.
So are they boys, girls?
Identical boys.
No.